This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From Reuters, Biden and Xi clash over Taiwan in Bali, but Cold War fears cool. U.S. President Biden and Chinese President Xi have sat down in person for a 3-hour meeting meant to help the two governments come to some kind of understanding and blunt the possibility of military conflict. This meeting has sparked optimism, in part because both sides walked away with good things to say about the other, and because tensions have been high following a series of back-and-forth provocations over the past year or so, especially but not exclusively related to the two countries' disagreement about the independence of Taiwan, something the Chinese have indicated they would go to war over, while Biden has said a Chinese attack would bring the U.S. to Taiwan's aid. It's not clear whether this meeting will lead to any tangible outcomes, but there's a chance simply clearing the air will help the two nations work together on shared concerns, like the climate crisis and bringing the invasion of Ukraine to a peaceful end. From the Associated Press, Russian missiles cross into Poland during strike on Ukraine. This is a big if true story, so take it with a grain of salt, but it would appear that during a wave of missile attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, Russia has possibly accidentally struck territory in neighboring Poland, killing 2 people and sparking concerns about the triggering of NATO's Article 5 collective defense provision, which essentially says that if one NATO member is attacked, every other member of the alliance will consider it an attack on themselves. This story is based on an investigation into reports that 2 people died from an explosion in a Polish village near the border with Ukraine. At the same time, Russia was firing a large number of missiles at Ukraine, including in that area. So even if the reports are confirmed, we don't know if the explosion was caused by a missile strike, if it was intentional or unintentional, or if it was actually remnants of a missile that was destroyed by Ukrainian anti-missile defenses. It's also important to note that NATO's Article 5 isn't an automatic mechanism that forces everyone to go to war with anyone who hits a NATO member. It's the beginning of a conversation to figure out what to do and a commitment to support each other if they determine someone was actually attacking one of their own. So while there is a lot of speculation right now that this might be the beginning of World War III, that would seem to be a big assumption-laden leap at this point. And from NPR News, Google pays nearly $392 million to settle sweeping location tracking case. Google has agreed to a deal with 40 U.S. states of not quite $392 million to settle a slew of cases related to allegations that the company continued to track users through their devices, even after they turned location tracking off. The suit alleges that since at least 2014, Google has tracked people when they had every reason to believe they weren't being tracked, and that it sold that location data to digital marketers to sell more ads. Alongside the monetary payout, Google has committed to make their location tracking policies more clear to users, though a Google representative said after the trial that the case was based on outdated data collecting methods, so the things they were brought to court over weren't really relevant anymore anyway. This follows another settlement for a similar case in Arizona last month, for which Google paid $85 million. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com. And you can support this and other related projects, like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts, at understandery.com.